So, how about a little musical interlude, a brief musical interlude?
We ain't deaf. America, America, America. America, America, America. America, America, America. I love you too.
Now, I gotta say, if I spent plenty of somewhat inebriated evenings at the honky tonk, that would be a perfect song for me. And I love the lyric, America, I love you too. You hear songs all the time, America, I love you, that kind of thing. But I love you too is a really interesting one because the obvious implication is that America loves you, the person who's listening to the song. And you might not know, but you were just listening to Dennis Quaid. And of course, Dennis is, super famous from all his acting. But who knew Dennis could sing? And Dennis Quaid joins us on the show right now. Hey, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, Dennis Quaid is here. Dennis Quaid wants a coffee. Hi there, guys. How are you? God bless America.
Oh, God bless people who talk about themselves in the third person. That is hilarious.
It's the ultimate. Well, actors are self-involved, so why lie about it?
Yeah, right. Where do you put yourself on the self-involved scale?
I have people around who fact check me and keep me honest. My kids and my wife, so I can't get too far.
Uh-huh.
I like to make fun of myself, so that's the way it goes.
Uh-huh. So you've recently co-founded a podcast called Audio Up. You're doing a bunch of music stuff. Tell us a little bit about your move into music. Is it new? Is it something you've been passionate about for a long time? How'd we get here?
Well, I've been playing guitar since I was like 12 or 13 years old. And first song I tried to learn, in fact, was Light My Fire, which is really not a good song for a beginner to learn. It's got a lot of bar chords, so I never learned it. But and I've been playing all my life. I've had a couple of bands through the decades, and I've written songs that have wound up in movies throughout the years. And I was sitting around about a year and a half ago, pre-COVID, and I was thinking about how this country we've gotten so used to yelling at each other and talking at each other rather than talking to each other. And I wanted to write a song about unity, and it was election year coming up. And so I wrote a campaign song. I like to say that it's a campaign song that is nonpartisan, but it's for sale.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm a capitalist. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Did anyone buy it?
Yeah, well, I assume so. And I really appreciate you guys spinning it like that for me. I appreciate it. And but this is America, and we can get through anything. We always have. There seems to be turmoil that comes along about every other decade. It seems to be on even numbers. If you think back to the 60s and the 80s and the aughts, like with 9/11 and the aughts. And, we get through it because we're America, and we're the greatest country in the world.
Couldn't agree with you more. And before I talk more about that aspect, is it a coincidence that the first song you tried to learn was a Doors song, and then you play on this song with Robby Krieger from the Doors?
Well, I would say it was coincidence. You can say that, or you could say that that's the way God planned it for some reason. But about 2-3 years ago, I play around town a lot, and Robby Krieger and I don't know how we missed each other. I've been here since the 70s, and so is he. But he invited me to sing at a charity event. Robby really gives back to the community, and he's doing a charity event every week, it seems. And I have a voice that just happens to be in Jim Morrison's register, and really lucky to I sing Riders on the Storm and L.A. Woman with him. And
oh my gosh,
it's one of those things I have to pinch myself. The Doors I admired them so much when I was growing up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, even for a famous dude who's done a lot of stuff, that's got to be like a highlight of a lifetime.
Well, I get struck myself, with people like that, especially your boyhood heroes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And he really delivered. He's such a great guy, and
Wow.
he plays lead on "America, I Love You Too." And we did a video on it, in fact, for the Love and Acceptance concert. I have a cul-de-sac street, and we got out in the middle of the cul-de-sac and set up a bandstand, put an American flag behind it, and had a block party for the neighbors and the kids. And it was really something. And Robby is so. Here's what Robby will do. My kids. They have a school carnival, right, at their school. And our guitar player in my band, the Sharks, broke his hand the week before. Robby came on 48 hours notice and came and played at my kids' school carnival. And that's what kind of a guy he is.
Wow. And you know what? I got to say, I love that you're talking about someone other than yourself. You don't often get that with the big movie stars like you. And you're spending more time talking about Robby Krieger than you, which is pretty cool.
Talking about me.
Yeah, yeah. And you probably talk about you enough. I am really curious, as a guy who sometimes writes for a living, that about the word "to" in the title of your song, right? America, I Love You is one thing. America, I Love You Too is really a different thing.
Yeah. And I was listening to your introduction, and that was the way you picked up on it. I think it could be taken any way, that, America loves you and I love you too. Or it could be, the Republicans and Democrats and independents or whoever, you libertarians, whoever you happen to be, or if you live in another state in, Texas and New York, it's just that, one of the lines at the end is like, I love you too, and you, and you, and you, and you, and even you. So, it's about three different ways you could take it, I think.
This is very cool. Dennis Quaid's new song is called America, I Love You Too. I've got to ask you because I cannot imagine being a fly on the wall or hanging around in the room with you and Gary Busey and Luke Wilson and Trinidad James. That's got to be one of the most insane get-togethers ever. Can you just tell us briefly about Uncle Drank?
Yeah, well, if you were a fly on the wall, we did it on Zoom, so you'd be a fly on the Zoom wall. Maybe it's the same fly that was on Pence's head. We have Audio Up is the name of our network platform. It's sort of like a movie studio, but for podcast. We had the number 2 podcast musically the year before last called Bear and a Banjo, and that we did with Bob Dylan and T-Bone Burnett. And Jared Gutstadt and I decided to form Audio Up, and we do not just one podcast, but we have 18 of them going at one time. And Uncle Drank is a scripted podcast, not a talk show. It's we want to turn it into an animated series, sort of a la South Park. It's about this Gulf and Western singer. Gulf and Western, so you got Florida and Tennessee. He wakes up out of a 30-year hangover and remembers that he's a Gulf and Western star, and he wants to reboot his career, and that's Gary Busey. And
of course it is.
I play Gary Busey's blender, his talking blender, Blendy, and then we have Luke Wilson's in it, Luke Combs is in it, Kinky Friedman, and we got a great cast, and it's really funny and very inappropriate.
Good. And you need South Park kinds of animators to make it perfectly inappropriate. I just can't imagine that one. All right, just a couple other quick things, Dennis. Tell us about flying jets. I guess you do that.
Yeah, I've been flying since The Right Stuff. I got my favorite movie that I did, by the way, and I It was back in 1982, and I was afraid to fly before that. I grew up, around the space program, and my favorite astronaut of the original 7 was Gordo Cooper. I read the book and said, oh, wow, if they ever do a movie, I got to play this part. I wish. Every actor in town wanted it, and it was just one of those things where, I wasn't like Dennis Quaid yet. So I didn't have a chance, but yet I got the part. And it turned out that Gordo Cooper lived 3 miles from me in L.A., and we became very good friends, and he turned me on to flying over at Van Nuys Airport, and I wound up working my way up to jets. I fly Citation jets now, and but that's how that came about.
It's funny because before you came on the air, my producer asked me, hey, I wonder if Dennis got involved with flying because of The Right Stuff. And there it is. He guessed right. That's so cool.
To, Shannon, right?
Shannon.
Before we got on here, talking about it, I thought he might be a pilot himself from the way he talked. Are you?
I'm not. I can't afford a jet anyway. But you know what? Little propeller planes aren't that expensive. You could do that.
Hey, just get yourself a job as that flying weatherman.
I don't have Dennis Quaid money, dude, to go buy my own Citation. You gotta, that's why you're Dennis Quaid and I'm not.
I don't currently have an airplane right now, but because I'm working so much, and the most expensive part is when it sits in the hangar because you got to pay for everything else besides flying. But it's it's a skill I got up my sleeves. It's nice.
Very cool. All right, my last question.
This morning.
You did?
I said, how is Denver this morning?
Oh, I thought you said you went for a flight this morning. Denver's pretty good. We're warming up. My kids were out for a snow day yesterday, and I'm guessing your kids weren't out of school for a snow day yesterday in L.A.
No, they were not. But I spent a good part of the time of the lockdown in Vail, and in the summer, which I never had a chance to do in the summer. I just love it for skiing, that and Telluride. And I was in Denver pre-COVID, actually, right before it hit with my daughter's volleyball tournament. And the first time I really got to spend, downtown. And I just love Denver. It's sweet people, and, it's got great history to it.
It sure does. And, as long as you're making Dennis Quaid money, why don't you get the hell out of California with their tax rates and move to Colorado and come hang out with Kevin Costner?
Well, I have been thinking about that, actually, between Colorado and Tennessee or my home state of Texas.
Yeah, and, even lower Texas there.
Yeah, I'm from Houston, and which is sometimes called West Louisiana, but they do have Texas tax rates.
You're a riot to talk to, by the way. All right, my last question for you: sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or sock, shoe, sock, shoe?
Sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or shoe, shoe, sock, sock?
Or sock, shoe, when you're putting on your shoes and socks in the morning. Both socks and then both shoes, or a sock and a shoe, and then the other sock and a shoe.
It's very interesting because by coincidence, I woke up this morning and I'm wearing one sock and my other foot is bare. But I usually put on my right sock first, right then left, then right then left. That's
gotcha. So you're not only are you sock, sock, shoe, shoe, but you're right, left, right, left. It's an excellent.
I'm a sock, sock, shoe, shoe guy. Yes.
Right. You're very self-aware.
Right.
You're a very self-aware man, which you would expect from someone who meditated by the Ganges River, which doesn't smell very good. I've been there too. But we don't have
up in the Himalayas. It's quite clean, actually.
Oh, nice up there for sure.
Quite cold, by the way.
Yeah. I've been up there too. We need to talk more, but maybe when you come to Denver, we'll get a beer. I'd love to talk in person.
I'd love to come down to the studio and love to play there. And where should I play in Denver?
Oh, gosh, Shannon, where should? Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. The Grizzly Rose. That's the right answer. Definitely the Grizzly Rose.
Okay.
Write it down. Get in touch, and then
Grizzly Rose. Okay.
Have your people.
Broncos Stadium.
Well, if you can, but the Grizzly Rose is nicer. It's more intimate.
Yeah, Grizzly Rose. I'm gonna check that out.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for your time today. It's been great talking to you, Dennis.
Same to you.
All right, everybody, check out Dennis Quaid's new song, America, I Love You Too. We'll be right back.
This is Denver's Talk Station with Ross Kaminsky now. Tom Martino at 10, 630 KHOW, Denver.